What's up, folks? This is Ray, aka Neo Soul One. We are so glad to have you with us. This is the Neo Soul Cypher Show Reborn. It is indeed reborn. We've got exciting new hosts as well as returning hosts, and I'm so excited to bring everyone to you. We have an incredible show for you tonight. We've got some things we want to talk about. But first, I do want to just point out that this is indeed a special show. If you remember the format of the Neo Soul Cypher Show, we introduce ourselves very, very briefly initially. We talk a little bit about the news and current events, and then we dive into wonderful artists that we're going to be interviewing on a regular basis. This particular show, we are actually going to change our format a little bit. We are actually going to focus on our host tonight. We want you to get to know our new and recurring hosts and all that they're about. And we're also going to, after that, touch on some really cool topics for discussion that hopefully generate some thought on your part and some engagement on your part as well. With that, I will introduce myself. Ray, aka Neo Soul One. We've been doing this for quite some time right now. We are happy to be relaunching the Neo Soul Cypher Show in conjunction with the eventual relaunch of the Neo Soul Cypher .com website, as well as the launch of events here, primarily, initially at least, in the Dallas Fort Worth area, but subsequently coming to a city near you. I mentioned that we are going to talk a little bit about ourselves, a little bit in terms of our bios, our influences in terms of music, and I'm going to start. So, I've been involved in music all my life in some shape or form, and not because I'm a formal musician by any stretch of the imagination, but as a child, loved growing up listening to music all throughout the 70s and 80s. I had young parents, and so they were always listening to music. And so as a result, I was always listening to music. And I developed a love of soul music in particular. I've developed a love of hip hop in particular as I saw the birth of hip hop, at least the popular hip hop that came out in the late 70s. And I was witness to it in many ways in terms of the culture growing up in the Northeast in Paterson, New Jersey, and seeing how it wasn't just about rapping. It was about, graffiti. It was about breakdancing. It was about a dress, a style, an aesthetic. We had it all. And it blossomed across the world. And another key influence for me was not just hip hop, obviously, and not just soul music. As time went by, we went through the 80s and the early 90s and getting into the mid 90s. Another significant influence touched me passionately, and that's neo soul music. Built on the foundation of soul, built on the foundation of elements of hip hop in some ways as well, and built on the foundation of some key artists that we'll touch on throughout our shows and our content across our platforms. I developed an incredible love of neo soul music. Launching with folks like D'Angelo, like folks like Jill Scott. They all were major influences early on. Erica, I got to mention her obviously, especially being here in the Dallas area. All those artists really influenced me, and obviously there were some more Dwelle, just a whole host, really touched me in a certain way, and as a result, came up with this whole notion of putting together these key elements of my musical passion, neo soul music and classic hip hop. And of course, I had the wonderful blessing to meet fellow lovers of these genres and other genres as well. And we were able to kind of come together and bring to you what we have today. So I won't get into any more details. You'll see on our website as we relaunch it some additional information about our backgrounds. But I just wanted to share that with you. I wanted to let you know where the passion comes from. I wanted you to know a little bit of the history, and obviously we'll be delving into it a little bit more. With that, I'm going to pass it over to my man Trip. Um, um, Being a fellow returning co-host, I will pass the baton over to him, and then he can obviously hit one of our new co-hosts as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I go by Trip. I've been going by Trip since I was a rapper in the '80s. So that'll frame it for some folks. I've been into the classic hip hop since it was classic hip hop. Although my tangent might have been a little different. I was doing gospel rap back then.
Okay.
But I had the benefit. I'm an attorney by trade. I had a chance to meet Ray in Phoenix. We met before, but somehow we just got into this discussion about music, and we realized that we both have these vast musical backgrounds, but they distill into the same two channels we both enjoy so much, right?
Yeah.
So I got everything from hip hop to rock to country, blues, but Neo Soul is where my soul is. Classic hip hop is where my ear is. So my heart's between those two, and I think there's a marriage of them. I am thrilled that, and I don't know if he did it on purpose, but he left my favorite artist off the list altogether. If I'm going to say, I got a couple of them, but my absolute favorite, if you had to pick one person to define the genre, I'm going D'Angelo. That is my favorite Neo Soul artist of all time. Unless you put, he tipped the hand, we'll be discussing Origin, so I'll save that for that. But I believe, there may be another favorite artist. But artists like D'Angelo all the way through Maxwell, the four pillars. We did an article about that. You guys come to the website and see it. Maxwell, D'Angelo, Jill Scott, and Erykah Badu are my four pillars of Neo Soul. But going all the way through to coming up to people like Danielle Caesar and H.E.R. Her or Six Black. These are artists that I feel carry tradition currently through today's time. So music head, enthusiastic for this reboot. For those who don't know, my actual first name is Torrance, and so I'm saying that because I'm turning it over to my man, my frat brother, my vice boss, Gary Torrance Jr. Welcome to the show, Gary.
How y'all doing, man? I'm Gary Torrance, and Torrance is my namesake there. I want to say I'm the youngest member of the team.
By far, my friend.
Yeah, Ray was talking about Ray was talking about the 70s and 80s, and I'm like, yeah.
So some of us were not born yet or barely born.
Yeah. I was born in '89, so I'm way out there. Yeah.
I was a
yeah. So I've been I'm more the tech side of Neo Soul. So we've been working together. I was longer than 5 years, 6, 7,
something like that.
Yeah. So we've been working together for a while. I actually learn a lot from Trip and Ray in terms of the origins of like Neo Soul and hip hop, right? Because obviously I love all music. It's like Trip is rock, everything, EDM, any kind of music I get my hands on, I'm listening to it because I love the sound, right? But in terms of the Neo Soul piece, I've grown to have a more of appreciation for that music and working with Neo Soul Cypher. And I'll go into my favorite artist is more of a newer in terms of Neo Soul. You guys can argue if he's actually in there, but Masego, he just released an album.
Absolutely.
I love Masego, Mystery Later, all that,
That's my boy right there, no doubt.
Yeah, so that's that I kind of attached to him as my Neo Soul go-to.
Yeah. And I love Masego in particular because he represents that historical fusion between Neo Soul and hip hop. And I love, and not to mention jazz as well. So he adds those elements, bringing the foundations to the fore to kind of the newer generations. And so definitely love his vibe and what he brings to the table, no doubt.
Very gifted.
Yeah.
That's a great.
It's awesome.
Absolutely. So we wanted to make sure that our show was a little more multi-generational in bringing Gary to the fore. And I must admit that we also have another new host who is not with us this evening. And she may join us before we get off tonight, or she may not. But her name is Maureen, and she's going to be bringing some younger millennial type flavor to the mix as well. And so we're excited to have her join us. And then when and if she is able to join this evening, we will have her give us a little background in terms of where she's coming from as well. As promised, we are going to transition now a little bit into really the heart and soul of what we've been doing in the past. The two components of what we've done in the past is really interview some incredible artists who have been really impactful in the music and culture throughout and over the years. But we've also discussed key issues and topics that have been interesting, that have been happening from a news perspective, from a culture perspective, and a music perspective. And so we thought we would to redo that again tonight as part of this special show. And in light of that, I'm just going to start throwing some stuff out there, and I know you guys feel free to kind of chime in and throw some many things in there as well that you see fit. But one of the things I found interesting over the last few days that I came across, because it wasn't in mainstream hip hop media or mainstream media in particular at all, was the revelation that Kanye West has been on tour and has been having major tours, in particular in Europe. And I'm like, whoa, who knew? Who knew? And of course, that brings to the fore a number of issues in terms of the fact that Kanye has had a significant and incredible impact on the culture and the music in many positive ways. But he's also have a significant impact on the music and the culture in many negative ways as well. And so, as I understand it, part of the reason that we may not have heard about these tours was because of some of those negative things, and because he actually had to, not perform in certain arenas in certain countries because they actually essentially would not allow him to do so. I think one of those countries being England, where he was supposed to perform, and he was not allowed to because of some of the things he has said, very controversial and negative and hurtful things to many communities, including our own. And so, I understand that in many ways, but I also found it interesting that, there are other countries, I think, was it Albania, that he performed and may have had over 100,000 attendees, coming to check his show out. And I don't know what you guys think about it, but it's a very interesting dynamic. I mean, obviously, it speaks to his talent and the fact that he still resonates for many people. But the question is, who is he resonating with?
Right.
Yeah, I got my theories on this. So it wasn't just the UK; it was France that stopped him. And me and Gary's sitting here in the great state of Florida, which, with our current leadership, we ought to be banned some places. But even in Tampa, they didn't want Kanye coming. But the places that he's resonating, from what I can see, and I don't want to just throw a blanket over because I haven't really looked at his tour like that. I did take a glance. A lot of spots with some pretty far right leaning politics going on right now. So I could see that there would be a static audience of X amount of people, whether it be 60 to 100,000 folks who might come out in countries of millions and millions and millions. And don't forget, these countries are really next to each other, unlike here.
Easy to travel to, yeah.
Yeah, So the country might say it has a 7 million, but it might be 30 million in the same area that would travel to a concert here, like
that's right,
Burning Man or something. So, the numbers he's getting are impressive, but it's also, I think, probably has some tie to the politics that are going over there, the anti-immigration, the general hostility, the anti-Semitism. Because he's blatantly, in my opinion, anti-Semitic. That's just my opinion. I know it's not the opinion of Neo Soul Cypher or the host, but that's my opinion. So, and that's based off of things he said, and that's not recanted.
Right, and that's the key, right? So, my question is always, after even if you have all those people now supporting you, right? After this wave or this era is done, do you now become irrelevant? Because you've alienated a ton of fans you used to have, right?
Right.
Because you're talented, right? There's no question. But when you cross that line, like you're burning bridges. Like there's
Yeah.
no coming back, right? So it almost feels like it's a swan song, right? Like, last ditch effort for a tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing well in some places, but
Yeah.
what happens next?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'll be interesting what happens next because I don't think there's going to be an appetite for folks, that traditionally listened to him say 10, 15 years ago to be checking him out in any shape or form going forward. Um,
Right,
and
right.
there's no doubt about it. But I, again, thought that was interesting in many ways. I know some people just wanted to highlight how incredible it was that he was still able to generate that. But I mean, I think it's pretty clear that people with negativity can generate
Oh,
popularity,
oh
can
yeah.
generate, sales in many ways. That doesn't make it right.
No,
And it doesn't make it something that is truly resonating with the culture. So I appreciate y'all in terms of your perspective on that, and but I thought it was interesting to share that with us. Um, I also thought it was interesting to potentially contrast that performance and the kind of stadiums and stuff that he was connecting with the recent Yankee Stadium performances by my man Jay Z, who is not without his own controversy in some shape or form as well. But I think more traditionally, folks are still in Jay Z's corner in many ways, even though he's taken some positions that folks have some issues with. But the point that I really want to focus in on is really the impact that him coming out with a series of concerts, selling them out, having everyone really check it out on social media and all across the world. And he's not even doing new music. I mean, he is literally reinvigorating IP, as we call it, intellectual property, that he did 30 years ago.
to your point, Ray,
Yeah.
it's not just that he was selling out shows from music 30 years ago. You didn't know which treat you were getting, which album you were getting. He was doing selective periods that are 30 years old.
Yeah,
Like,
no. I think it was
that's
I
a
think it was
bigger
mostly
flex.
reasonable doubt, but I'm sure he added some things in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they were all. He did
yeah.
Reasonable Doubt, but he also did the Black Album. He did a couple of albums on
Okay,
different nights. He would cover
okay,
different
okay.
material because,
Yeah,
and frankly, I didn't recognize it. Like I like Jay Z, but I wasn't not a Jay Z stan by any stretch as far as music,
yeah,
right? But I do like his music. But watching him perform live, watching the crowd, that dude is the definition of culture. I've only seen that kind of spontaneous, short-term build-up with an explosion once before in hip-hop, and that was when Kendrick did the pop out. But this was like a 3-night pop out extravagant. This was the
yeah,
Hova Fest. I mean, I don't know what you want to
yeah.
call it. It was it
I
was it
love
was
that. I
special.
love that. I love that name, the Hoverfest. Yeah, that's
Special. It was
dope.
special.
That's dope. I can't say that I was in his presence at the Roots picnic when he came out and just kind of reemerged initially, and killed it. With the off the dome, just killing folks and talking to folks who may have misconstrued who he was. They didn't know who he was, and he had to remind them who he was. And so the impact that I saw with 80,000 people just just incredibly excited to hear him and see what he's doing. Even though he had to fro that night as well. And so he was killing it, man. So I do think it's interesting to see that. And from our perspective, when we're bringing Neo Soul Cypher to the fore, it speaks to the fact that there is still an incredible appetite for a certain style, a certain lyricism, a certain nostalgia as well, that is represented in what he did at Yankee Stadium. and I think it also may be reflective of some of the older, some other, I should say, legacy artists that have recently come out with projects. And I know that Trip and I, we also do another show on the platform, the Neo Soul Cypher platform, that is more dedicated to kind of older heads like ourselves, called the Cool Breeze Show, and we've got a few of those in the can that you can see when you check out our website and our YouTube channel, and we're going to be doing a lot more of them as well. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about in some of these shows is the fact that we had some legacy artists coming out with some really dope things over the last few years. And I mean, ranging from Slick Rick to Nas, I know Rakim is just coming out with something now, and so it's exciting. It's just real exciting to hear and see that. Yeah.
Album of the year last year was Clips.
How could I even not mention that? Right.
So
how relevant was that? For the overall, hip hop culture and scene.
Yep,
How relevant was that?
Hip hop never died, but it is certainly back in that way. Now, I say that at the same time, it doesn't chart like it did. And I'm the one who's actually happy about that, right? Yeah. It's no longer pushing, the label just pushing music or sound rather, because some of it, in my opinion, wasn't very much music, let alone classic hip hop. But the discerning ears now actually find what they want to hear it. But it's not about how long did it hit on the charts, how hard does it hit in the club. It is what hip hop is. It's the culture.
Yeah.
And the more I see, even with the young artists that are coming out, they're starting to really dig into that. You see the Ray Vaughns of the world, not necessarily looking for that bop, that number one. He's looking to make the culture. Baby Keem dropped a monster album. And yeah, sure, they had songs that charted, but you could tell that was not the purpose of that album. Absolutely. That album was about making art, representing the culture, and telling his story. There are a lot of young artists out there right now that are really doing it, both male and female. And I think you can see it, that art, from Rakim to Jay-Z to, my guy, Andre 3000, all the way through the 2000s and up to now. Hip hop is very much alive. We just had to push that one guy.
No doubt. And I think we got to give a lot of credit to Kendrick as pushing the envelope, the lyricism envelope again. And legacy artists recognizing what Kendrick did and understanding that there's a serious appetite for lyricism.
So Kendrick has this kind of impact.
Yeah.
He dropped a little throwaway line. He said, basically half of my earnings should be paid to Rakim. He's just giving Rakim love. If you haven't seen what's been happening with Rakim over the last 2 months, all these young guys who do reactions, they're just reacting to Rakim left and right. Rakim is generating this whole new audience, and not just Gary's group, right? I'm not talking millennials. Some of the millennials are doing it. I'm seeing Gen Zers do it. 20-year-olds, 23-year-olds, and they're understanding that, hey, I get that what he's doing verbally is still a verbal assault and it's still crazy. But when he did it, no one did it. No one did it. This is him.
Complete innovation, complete invention, and complete trailblazer. He brought stuff to the table that folks just didn't even know was possible. And then once he did, it kind of expanded what was possible from a lyricism standpoint. I mean, you hear people like Eminem talk about the effect that Rakim had on him, and what he thought and could figure out what was possible lyrically as a result. And so, he stands at the center of kind of an expansion of hip hop. Granted, there had been some great lyricists even before him, but he took it to another level. He took some techniques that had not been done before and put them into the mainstream, and folks have been expanding on it ever since. And so no doubt about it. Now that leads me to another topic, honestly, that we were going to leave to the Cool Breeze Show, but I want to touch base. I want to touch on it pretty quickly here as well, and because it's related to what we're talking about, and that's that whole concept of potentially coming up with subgenres for rap. And I think it's relevant because I don't want us to get caught up in this whole notion of just looking at legacy and nostalgia and all that, because I do think we need to bring it to the fore to today in terms of some of the artists that are coming out with things that are charting, things that people from a lyrical standpoint may not be all that attracted to, but at the same time, they are representative of what is quote unquote popular right now. The question is, are they representative of the culture? And if so, to what extent that there needs to be different categories that define the type of work that has been done. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about that.
I mean, I always got thoughts, but I want to hear what you. I'll leave. I'm gonna take Gary to the water.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting point, right? So there's a ton of artists like Ray you would never listen to, like me and Trip. Trip listens to everything, so he knows. Like where would you put Lil Durk? Where would you put?
He doesn't know who Lil Durk is.
I've heard of it. Absolutely, I've heard of it. I mean,
only because it's little something.
Baby, there's little Yachty, there's little that.
Ray, Lil Durk isn't like those you just named.
Right, he's different. That's the thing. He's different. So like the little baby, right?
Young NBA. I don't know.
Somebody mute him.
NBA young boy. That's what.
Young boy.
That's right.
One of the top selling artists out there.
So it's like what subgenre is it? Like, is it mumble rap? Is it what do you do? Not Dirk is not mumble rap, right?
No, he's lyrical actually.
So where's 6ix9ine fit, right?
Right. So we've always had this. Gary and I grew up in South Florida, right? So we had booty rap. So we've always had subgenres, right? So the subgenre thing doesn't bother me. Subgenre saying that subgenre isn't good, that's the part where I'll draw a line, right? Because just because I don't enjoy bluegrass doesn't mean it's not country, or good country, just because I don't like that sound. Now, when it comes to artists like Foxy Red, or let's call it ratchet rap, I don't know if they have a category for it, right? But it's the club stuff. Yeah. Does it promote what's best for hip hop and what hip hop was born to be and born out to be? I have a hard time that spin that is what.
Yeah, I was just gonna say spin
that one.
I was
Miami. Thank you very much.
That being said, Big Old Butt was my jam by LL, right? You couldn't tell me nothing. Milky Cereal was my jam by LL. Yeah. So I mean, it's just times change, man. I don't want to be the guy yelling by Elvis when I'm listening to Motley.
There's also gradations, and there's also a way that you spin stuff that is, in some ways, you could look at it negatively, but you could also look at it as being creative and being facetious in many ways. So a lot, because you look at Ludacris songs. I mean, a lot of people, like, I think Bill O'Reilly was like taking him like literally. I mean, he wasn't being literal with all that.
I said the difference between Luda and most of those guys we were just talking about. Those Luda's rapping, like he was rapping.
Yeah.
But to his point though, some of them weren't. It was throwaway.
It's like it was, And the reality is, some of the stuff that we're listening to right now that are coming out that's really popular is really negative, but it's not tongue in cheek. There's no, deeper meaning or inside joke there.
So your point there, I think more problematic than the dance stuff and the party music, although you could point out that's detrimental to young girls in some ways, but and some men expectation is drill. Look what happened to the Chicago drill scene. They were killing each other left and right, literally on highways, just killing each other. And it was over the songs they were playing. And then New York drill has spread to the point where, New York wants to bash in the lyricism. We're getting Ice Spice.
Right.
just on drills, all very
Yeah,
homogenous.
and then you got to take it internationally because a lot of the production for drill music is actually happening in London, which is kind of crazy. It's amazing.
Wow.
And I'm such a hypocrite because I love London drill. Give me skeptic all day long. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
he's
feel
good.
you. I feel you, man. But it creates this point where this whole idea of a subgenre, I think, it actually makes sense. I mean, I think some people want to talk about like traditional rap or classic rap. I'm more of, because I don't think it's necessarily should just be tied to history, because there are a lot of great lyricists that are part of the most recent generations, and they need to get highlighted as lyricists as well. So I would just say like lyrical, lyrical rap, and turn up music, maybe turn up rap or something that doesn't get into lyrics a lot, but it's much more focused on beat and feel. And then people, can obviously talk about the merits of it. And obviously, I don't think we should ever divorce ourselves, though, of having a responsibility to speak to some of the negativity that may be happening, but also some of the positivity that happens as well. We shouldn't just focus on the negativity, but we still have a responsibility to hold people accountable for what they're bringing to the masses and into the culture. I really believe that.
I agree. I will caution, though, that hip hop has always had that element. I mean,
Absolutely. No doubt.
There's always been an
It's a
element
very
of
fine
just
line.
party, just
It's a very fine line.
Yeah.
And I think it's all art. Don't get me wrong. I think it is all art. I just think that some art can be negative in some ways, but I do believe it is definitely all art. No doubt about it.
We should have learned the lesson of the KRS-One's brother. I can't call it Scott LaRock. We should have learned those lessons of losing quality rappers early in their careers because they were rapping about what they were doing, or people were taking vengeance for stuff that they were doing.
Yeah, and he just happened to kind of be in the wrong place at the wrong time, which is really sad as well.
What's the brother I'm thinking of from New York? One of the best MCs in the mid-90s. He was going to be next. He was shot on his stoop. Big rapper. I'll think of his name in a minute. But we've seen too much of that, and that's what happened to some of the guys from Gary's generation. Gary, you can speak on that. A lot of those rappers that were killed.
What's the cat from Brooklyn who got shot in L.A.? What's his name?
That one too.
Pop Smoke.
Pop Smoke. Yeah. He was hot at the top of his game. Man.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. So I do think that there's some relevance for categories, and I, for one, want us to propose some of those categories in one of our shows coming up. So that I do want to put that on the chalkboard and see where we can go with that. All right. What's some other new things that are out there? One of the things that came up recently that kind of speaks to the I don't know if it's a dominance, but the global relevance of soul music, of R&B, of hip hop, is this whole situation that's been happening with K-pop and the issues of attribution that have been levied against some of those that are involved in the K-pop industry, and the fact that they don't necessarily want to give proper credit to the origins of their music, and the fact that really their music represents just another flavor of R&B and hip hop. And so I don't know what folks have to think about that, but I find it really interesting because there are certain other parts of the world that are very cognizant of that impact, like Japan in particular, where I feel like they completely acknowledge and recognize, in many ways. But interesting to hear what folks have to say about that.
Do you think and Trip, you probably touch more. I have to listen to K-pop every day, right? So with my two girls, they have their little playlists and all that. So I know all the artists.
Now. Are they doing the cat thing?
They're doing everything. That's anything to do with K-pop is crazy. So I listen to it every day, and a lot of it sounds good. But to your point, it's clearly, it's attributed to the
Derivative.
R&B and hip hop.
Yeah.
Right? It's literally that, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like you're going back in the time machine, and I'm going back and listening to some of our old music. So I'm thinking that maybe, and tell me, this is my opinion. I think maybe before it blew up, they were in their bubble, and it was fine, right?
Yeah.
They were just making the music, but now it's huge. And now people are like, yo, you gotta come on. You're taking this from
you gotta represent.
that. Come on.
Dance moves, clothing,
Everything.
even band structure, formation, all of it.
The dance
And these bands are selling out, man. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
I'm like, it's crazy.
It's just the boy band era and the girl band era. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just global boy, and it's no different what the Spice Girls did, but except the Spice Girls, didn't pretend as to who they were. We're taking moves from. I'll tell you the one that really aligns me. It's outside of the scope of what we're talking about. Is if y'all haven't heard it, they have K gospel too. Korean gospel. They sound like any Pentecostal church, and I grew up in one, or any Baptist church. They are singing with
wait
the wine.
Wait a minute.
No. They're not singing. They're singing.
They sang it. They sang.
This is news to me.
Oh, man, I
haven't heard that.
Brother.
Yeah, man. It's been out for a few years now.
At
least 6 that I've been aware of. I mean, they are.
I'm gonna have to listen to that. I'm not gonna show my kids. I'm gonna have to listen because we'll be listening to it every day. I can't do it.
It's just yet another area that But I guess what we can say, and I say we collectively as Black American men, I influence the spread, bro. Like we can take, even if they don't want to acknowledge, they don't have to acknowledge it. Because the sound acknowledges it.
Yeah.
This happened in our generation, bro. This happened in the last 50 years. We saw the birth of a whole genre of music. We're seeing what jazz did,
No, absolutely. I gotta say that there's a music critic. Her name is Jane Lee, and she has been trumpeting the need to represent properly, the origins and the derivative nature of K-pop. And I got to give her a lot of credit. She has been a constant voice and an authentic voice that has, not with her own. And then she's taking shots, from people who don't want to listen and acknowledge what she's saying is accurate. So I appreciate what she's bringing to the table. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm excited about what we're able to kind of talk about tonight, but I'm also excited about some stuff that's happened over the years. So one of the things that we thought might be a cool feature of our show going forward was the concept of highlighting songs that were from 30, 20, and 10 years from 2026. And so we want to put a challenge out there to our listeners to come up with their favorite music from 30, 20, and 10 years ago and share it with us, because we would love to have that be part of a topic that we bring to the table every show, because it's representative of what Neo Soul Cypher Show is all about. And to again trumpet what we're doing on our other show, Cool Breeze Show, we're going to be taking it back a little bit further because of the demographic for that show. We're going to be taking it back to the 70s and the 80s. So 40 and 50 years ago, we'll take it a little bit further back and on that platform. But I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but if anyone has anything from 30, 10 or 20 years ago they want to share tonight, as something that was impactful for them during that time period. I know, Gary, it's funny because you told us.
We're going to start Gary on 20, 30 years ago.
You told us when you were born. So I gotta, you're not going to be hit that. You can't really hit the 30 years for us. but you can at least touch on some of the 10 and the 20 years for us. So.
Maybe
I'll set
the
it off if you want. If you don't
10.
have anything.
Yeah,
Right?
go ahead. Go ahead, Trip. You can do
So circling back real quick, Big L was the name I was trying to think of.
Yes.
But 30 years ago, that's 96, right? Elevators, Outcast. That I remember I was driving down one of the major roads to 95 going to a club off a place on Commercial Boulevard. First time I heard that song.
Yeah.
And I was blown away just by the beat. And then you hear the story. And when Dre starts talking about the dude he met at the mall the other day, and he's saying the same, I'm coming from the same thing you come from. And, I make my money basically by making your feet move. It's like, what did I just hear? And back then we couldn't hit rewind, like it was on the radio. So now I gotta find this song, try to describe it. Luckily they named the elevators and they said elevators about 30,000 times. But that song really, really, really set me off. And the Fugees were out back then, so you can name the Fugees for anything, Neo Soul or that. But for me, it's probably gonna be Brown Sugar. I think that came out around that time. If I'm off, anything off that D'Angelo album would have done it for me in 96 as well. What a year.
Well, I got to point out, because there's significant hip hop albums in that year. Tupac, All Eyes on Me. I think that's posthumous as well.
Yeah, no, that's going to have California Love on it, right?
Yeah. And then the Fugees.
Wait, was Biggie 96? Ooh, that was my freshman year.
Fugees the
First year of law school.
Fugees the Score.
Yeah.
Which,
Fugees.
In my mind, is top 5 hip hop album of all time.
Hard not to be.
I firmly believe that. Ghostface Killer, Iron Man.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
And then Bones Thugs and Harmony. E1999 Eternal.
Yep. That wasn't the Biggie dropped in 95 and 97 then?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, the first Biggie was 94. 94, yeah.
So 96 then. I would have thought. Pac was killed in 96. Biggie died in 97. It had to be 97.
It was
97. He
97.
died when the album came out.
It was
Unless
97.
It was late 96.
Yeah, it was a double album.
Yeah. Life After Death.
Life After Death, ironically. Yeah.
What an era generally. But 96 was golden. But that was the birth for me of Big Neo Soul. D'Angelo, Maxwell, Badu, they were all doing their thing in 96, and it was off to the races then,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I'll do 2006. So I did a quick look up, and I remember because I was in high school, 2006. So it's 20. Yeah. So Rick Ross, Hustling.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's funny. I gotta say something about that song, because I will never forget sitting in a boardroom at the company I was general counsel at the time, and we were talking about developing a new product and how important it was going to be to get people behind it and the stuff that we needed to do to make it happen. And one of the guys around the table, he's like, "Yeah, man, it's like that song Hustling. We gotta." I was like, I cannot believe that was.
It
was bigger than you. It had any business being. Like that was. Rick Ross don't get us credit.
It was huge. It was huge, man.
Yeah.
That was one that stuck out for me.
Did the guy, the producer Dre from Florida, do that one too?
No,
he didn't do that one. Okay,
he didn't. I don't think Mix had anything to do with any of those guys.
Okay,
or any of those previous producers.
Okay, because when did Chevy Riding High come out?
Who?
Chevy Riding High. Man, you have to look it up.
But while he's looking at that, Ray, I went ahead and looked at 96. You missed 2 albums. I have to mention them. We got 3 albums. We're getting in trouble. Reasonable Doubt. It was written in AT Aliens. We're gonna die without mentioning.
You can't hit me on Reasonable Doubt because I said it earlier.
Right. But AT Aliens, come on, I gotta stand up for the South. Because the South won. South won the hip hop war.
Yeah. I mean, AT Aliens was crazy. It's crazy. But you're right about the Neo Soul, because that was when Maxwell's Urban Hang Suite. And I'll be honest with you, I played that album. I can't tell you how much I played that over and over and over and over.
That was me and D'Angelo. That album, I cannot
tell you.
Yep, same year, Ray. 2006 Chevy Ride 9.
Oh, it is the same year. I thought
Yep.
so. I thought so.
Yep.
That
That song is good. That whole thing, I mean, that's you're not lying, Trip. That Ross was the pinnacle there. That was everybody was listening to Rick Ross.
Yeah, so South Florida was killing it. And
was Pitbull still rapping back then?
Oh, he might have. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was absolutely.
Yeah, he definitely was.
Oh, that was
that might have been when he was actually still rapping.
Yeah, when Pitbull, listen now, before Pitbull decided to do his thing, and he can not begrudge him. The man hosted CBS's New Year's Eve countdown.
He made a business decision.
He made the pivot.
Get that money.
But when he was spitting bars,
yeah,
that boy was doing his thing early on. Like Toma still will light it up in South Florida. You put Toma on, it will light it up.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I can't disagree with you on that one. I cannot disagree with you on that one. That was so. I'm really excited about this being a feature of our shows going forward. But I also want to encourage people to bring albums, songs from 30, 20, and 10 years ago to our attention. So we would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. Most definitely. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. One of the things I do want to touch on is a recent release from our girl Beyonce. And I understand some really interesting history around the Morning Dew remix. So the Morning Dew remix came out in early July, I believe. And no. Actually, the remix came out last week or a couple of weeks ago with Jay-Z and a few other remixes. But I think the song itself was released last month. But it represents an interesting name because it's a song that I think got leaked years ago. And then never came out formally until just now. But the reason I mentioned that song, because man, it's such, the remix in particular with Jay-Z is so dope. It is so dope. Her singing, him rapping, and the fact that, you know, they have these incredible samples on that song is something that
is it the Isley brothers, you said?
They got the Isley brothers in it.
Yeah.
And what was the other big sample in there? I think there's another big sample as well. And so I encourage people to definitely check it out. It's one of those incredible fusions of R&B and hip hop that I think, should forever be recognized. And I speak of that. And then one comes to mind when SWV did the song with Wu-Tang. That was incredible fusion as well. And I gotta think of that song. That song was just so dope, and it's such a cool representation of how hip hop and R&B could really come together and bring you something completely transformed. Anything you want. That's the joint. That's the joint. So I think the formal title is Anything. So, but again, Morning Dew again is in that vein. So definitely encourage people to check it out. With that,
you made me think of something before. I know we got to go moving on, but you mentioned top 5 albums. I know we're going to go through that. Mm-hmm. But when you talk about perfect albums for the fusion of hip hop and R&B and the marriage of them, or the perfect artist, in my opinion, who did it better than anybody, and it is that Fuji album you named, the score. It's like you had to be there. Like everyone knows it now, so they understand it. But to hear it the first time, it was, what is this?
I'll never forget.
How does this work? How did this work?
That album's like a time machine for me, because I'll never forget when I was driving on 280 in New Jersey, and people who are from, Essex County, New Jersey know what I'm talking about. But I was driving down a hill on 280 in New Jersey, and it's ironic because that's where that area is where they're from as well. And I first heard Killing Me Softly on the radio, and I was done. I was like, no, she didn't. No, they didn't. The fact that she killed the vocals on that, and then the rap, it was just, I mean, come on.
Beat, the production, the ad libs, the who
Oh,
does yo yo yo? It was never supposed to be in that song. All right.
yeah,
And it's funny you mention that because I do
yeah.
wonder how many millennials and the younger millennials especially can really get it. I just was actually discussing with a Gen Xer who didn't know the original, so they had no frame of reference,
No,
right?
yeah, but
And
honestly, that's what made it even deeper for me to know
correct,
that 20 years prior to that, that song had blown up.
an untouchable song, something
Right,
that you don't cover.
right. And then
You
in
know,
the way they kind of just redid it, it was just
remade it. It's hers
incredible.
now.
Absolutely incredible. But yeah, I can remember exactly where I was and what I was doing when I first heard that song. No doubt
Yeah.
about it.
Miseducation also did the same thing to me, but
Oh, absolutely.
it threw me
Absolutely. I
sideways.
mean, and the fact that from what I know that my daughters, who are, I guess, technically Gen Z, although, the older ones are more close to millennials to me than Gen Z, but nonetheless, I mean, they're big proponents of miseducation. I mean, I know my middle daughter Cassidy listens to it all the time, and I'll mention the Pharrell girls because they are going to be coming on our platform as well soon. The Pharrell girls are going to bring their generation to the fore, so I'm excited about what they're going to be bringing to the table as well. So we're going to have a perspective on music, culture, politics, etc., all to themselves. So I'm excited about what they're bringing to the table. But because you mentioned miseducation, I had to make that tie in.
Yep, yep, yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. But with that said, we've had a grand old time, folks. Checking back in with y'all and just coming, quote unquote, back outside. And so we are back outside, and we're going to remain outside for a minute. So we're excited about you joining us, moving forward with us, and letting us know, what we can do to make this all better. Letting us know what you want to hear about, music wise, culture wise, and enriching what we do and bring to the table. Gentlemen, do you have anything else you want to say before we part with this wonderful audience?
It's
Nothing.
nice having some. It's nice having some new perspectives on board. I'm looking forward to discussing
Yes,
some music,
yes, yes.
especially some modern music too. It'd
Yeah,
be good.
no,
It'd be good.
absolutely. We definitely want to bring a different generational vibe to what we're doing as well. So we're excited about having Gary on board and Maureen on board, and so looking forward to where this all transcends to and continues over the next few weeks. But you'll be hearing from us soon. Check back in with our website, check back in with our social media platforms. We are going to be relaunching in October all of those platforms. But in the meantime, we're still going to be doing shows and keeping you guys clued in. With that, thank you for joining us. We cannot wait to reconnect as we are indeed back outside. Talk to y'all soon. Later.